Someone who leaves grease on the stovetop and tends to their cars is a dude.
It's time to take A Therapeutic Dose, a prescription-strength reality TV podcast that explores the intersection of reality TV and therapy. Possible side effects may include entertainment, strong emotional reactions, and/or laughter. Here are your hosts, Ramona Ramirez and Margie McGee.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to A Therapeutic Dose, where we meet at the intersection of reality TV and therapy. I am Margie McGee, and with me, as always, is my dear friend and co-host.
Hi, I am Ramona Ramirez. Margie, it's really good to see you.
Good to see you, too. And I just realized the dog is out. Can you hear that squeaking?
It's adorable.
But should I put her away? Because
No,
it's not going to...
It's fine. Nope. Oh,
for Christ's sake.
Hi, Evelyn. She'll get bored in a minute.
She will. I know. She just like the second. It's so funny. We did a test record and she's like asleep in the corner and I forgot she was even out. And now it's just like full squeaking. Anyways, so good to see you. I'm sorry that you're under the weather.
Yeah, I'm a little under the weather. I'm coming to you live from my favorite cozy robe and minimal makeup because I plan on going back to bed when
Can I just say that your cozy robe is like the highest fashion that could ever exist in my closet.
Well,
it's hilarious to me.
Very nice.
It's this like incredibly glamorous, like regal pattern of what are they? Cheetahs in a
They are,
forest?
yes, they are cheetahs in a, yeah, it's a fabric called Bagheera. It's a robe by Print Fresh. It's 100% cotton and I love it. And it has huge, deep pockets and I do feel put together in it, even though it is just a robe. So
it's gorgeous because my cozy robe is like a towel with pockets. You know what I mean? This is a piece of art.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. So yes, I'm a little nasally today. I apologize. But yeah, that sickness that my kid came home with last week crept its way to me and Josh. And we usually don't get any of the things that he brings home. Thank God, because it's a lot. This time it was not, we did not fare so well. It's just a cold. It's all right. I'm going to be okay.
Like all parents in the fall, you know, their kids go to school and it's just a booger factory. Like everyone's just exchanging boogers. And I don't know how any parent, I don't know when it stops, but I feel like after elementary school, maybe even like 4th or 5th grade, there weren't as many illnesses. But
here's hoping.
Yeah.
Here's hoping.
Everybody's immune systems are just like getting back into business after being locked away for years.
Yep.
Should we get into it? Or
yeah, we should.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say I don't have immunity against foolery, which is what this episode had a lot of in. This is The Real Housewives of Orange County, Season 18, Episode 12, The Elephant in the Room. P.S. The elephant is Tamra's drinking, and Eddie needs Al-Anon.
Oh, my God. I literally was watching that scene, and I was like, oh, Eddie's going to leave her.
Yeah.
Like throughout this episode, I was like, I do not want Tamra's karma. She's a rotten human being.
She is.
The fact
truly.
that she would play Shannon's butt dial, relay it again at the dinner party. I literally was like, I don't know what is on deck for you, but it's going to be bad because what you're doing is so bad. And I don't know what the timing will be. It could be decades. I just reached out to my old writing partner, in fact, because decades ago, a rock star was really inappropriate with her, really mean to her. And some news has come out about him, not Diddy, just so everybody's clear, it's not that terrorizing. But some news came out about him that was like unsavory. And I finally, yeah, sorry. Oh, America's sweetheart. But I texted her to be like, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Like, I'm just kind of glad that, because everybody would always come down on her when she was like, I had a bad experience with him. And they were like, are you serious? He's America's. Everybody like, Dave's the best guy in show business. No, he's not. And he's not like a terrible person, but he did a rotten thing that nobody saw coming except this former, writing partner of mine who'd had that experience. So anyways, my point is, as you would say, Tamra is creating some really gnarly karma, and I don't want to be anywhere near her when it comes crashing down. And my feeling in this episode was that Eddie's going to leave her, move to that house in Big Bear, and be done with it. The drinking is outrageous. Her commenting on others drinking, it's exactly what Shannon did to Gina last season. It's just like, do you not see the path you're on?
Yeah.
No, because you're too drunk. Spilling that martini was like,
it
whoa.
just kept coming out of the glass.
Loudly. And the glass was tipped like.
And then she blamed it on Emily. Well, I'm holding your glass. It's because I'm holding your glass. I was like, oh, she's my least least favorite kind of person / alcoholic /
That is a problem
she's
drinker who knows she has a problem. Because if you saw me doing that, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so drunk. What's happening? And I would make a joke out of it and acknowledge it. But someone who's trying to cover, they're like, it's your fault that I did this. You did this. You actually did this. You did that.
Yeah.
Not me. It's like, what?
Yep. It was so gross. Yeah. I wrote the exact same thing down. If it was been me, I would have been like, oh my God, Matt, I'm so sorry. Oh my God. And I would have like motioned to Josh, will you please grab me a towel? Or can someone please, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I would be contrite for like the next 5 years. Oh my God, remember that one time you met me when we first met and I spilled all over your, I'm so, like, instead Tamra just shrieks. It's because I'm getting your wine. Like,
and she made no move to clean it up, which to me is like, that's a hallmark of the alcoholics in my life. It's like, well, that just didn't happen. That didn't happen. Or if it did, it was your fault. And it's like, well, but a normal person would be like, oh my God, that happened. Let's clean it up. So I don't know. Tamra, I don't want to be her, man.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Nor do I want to be, well, I guess when the episode first opens, Tamra, Emily, and Gina are having some sort of morning after recap at a cafe. And they're talking about how things went off the rails the night before at Jen's fiesta party. And I don't really know. Was there anything of note in that scene to you?
No, it was just like this. I love Emily and I absolutely feel for her. But the times in this episode when the dress size came up, I was like, okay. So basically she was saying in this scene that like she wrongly, in my opinion, thought she could have had a meaningful conversation with Heather.
Oh, yeah.
And be heard, have her feelings heard, which is just misguided in my opinion.
Completely. Yeah.
Were it not, but she blamed Alexis. You know, she was like, Alexis was a lunatic. She got in the way. She disrupted everything and made it chaotic. So I couldn't have that meaningful conversation that Heather is capable of. I don't think so.
I don't either. Yeah, it's not. As we see in this, next scene, which is Terry and Heather at his pre-op appointment. Heather makes fun of Terry's age. Is it because you're old?
Mm-hmm.
Is it because you're old? And I'm like, Heather, A, it's coming for all of us. A, it's coming for all of us. And B, like, just, it's boring. And it's also not funny.
Well, clearly, she'd written this scene for them to do in the office. And like, he went off script. She got real moody about it.
Terry snores and he wants to get surgery that will help him sleep better, breathe better, and also maybe remove a bump.
He's getting a nose job, bottom line.
Right. That's
and he's doing pre-op blood work and cardiac evaluation to make sure he'll be okay under anesthesia.
Mm-hmm.
All smart, all good things to do.
Right. I mean, our noses do continue to grow as like, especially like once you hit like not middle age, but advanced, like senior citizen wise, like that's another one of the indignities of the human face that happens is that you just like your nose just continues to grow. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Whatever Terry wants to do to his face aesthetically, I don't care. I recently had my turbinates widened. It helped open up my nasal passages and I didn't have anything done to my nose cosmetically, but I will say that the turbinate reduction has helped me sleep better at night and during the day, actually. But and listen, Heather has a very valid point. She wants to be able to get into some good sleep. And when you have a partner next to you that snores and you can't sleep, it can lead to a whole host of other issues for the non-snorer and the snorer alike, including some mental health things like lack of sleep can cause depression or exacerbate depression. And so it's no joke. Sleep is no joke. So but Heather does bend over fucking backwards, forwards, sideways. She'll bend over whatever to like let everyone know that she also has a bump in her nose right there. And
but she doesn't.
She's not touching it.
So annoying. Yeah. Like congratulations on.
And why does it have to be a competition? Why does it have to be a like Terry's taking care of his bump? I'm not taking care of mine.
Well, she just wants us to know that like you never noticed it because I'm so beautiful and perfect. That you didn't even notice this imperfection. But look at me, I'm human, just like you. She's so annoying. And this is also like a bummer of this season is Heather is so siloed because she's punishing Katie once again for Disney pics. So she won't attend anything where Katie is present. And in that case, Terry is the only scene partner she has. And He looked
Oh.
miserable doing this. It looked like he did not want to be there, which is why I think he just sort of had it when he was like, if you're going to overtalk me, if you're going to drag me to do your stupid Orange County scenes, I have a reality show of my own. I have a thriving practice of my own. This is a pain in my ass to get my blood drawn on camera for you. You're welcome. And then you're going to overtalk me and just be a dick? Like, no, I would have had the same reaction. And Heather, she's not doing herself any adorable favors by scripting scenes for her and Terry separate from the housewives. You're not a housewife anymore. You're your
Mm,
own boring reality show that
right.
I really could do without. Terry's the only interesting part.
It was so this whole and I made a point of not like because I watched this episode 3 times. The very last time I watched it, after I'd already taken notes for us, I watched it with Josh. He was sick this week. He slept. He did not feel like watching it when it aired on Thursday night. He was already in bed. So he watched it last night, and I made a point of not saying anything. I didn't want to impart my opinion onto this entire scene or any of the scenes with Terry and Heather because I wanted to see what his unfiltered opinions would be. He was just as offended at Heather's egregious behavior as I was, you know? So they're talking while waiting for the doctor to come in and take Terry. She says that she tells us and Terry she's still trying to figure out who her true friends are. And I'm like, listen, maybe, Heather, maybe you will find your true friends when you show up as your true self. And if you have friends that you feel are not authentic, you need to look in the fucking mirror and ask yourself, how are you bringing your authentic self into this relationship? Because she's questioning these relationships where she doesn't ever make herself vulnerable or show up late or not without a piece of hair out of place. Like she shows up as this curated caricature. And so, like, we see all of Emily pretty much. You know, I'm not sure that we're seeing all of Gina, but then she might not be able to talk about Travis's entire situation because he has an ex-wife or a trying to be an ex-wife and children situation involved. So I was racking my brain, like thinking, who are we not seeing and why? You know, I feel like we're seeing all of Katie. We're definitely seeing all of Emily. I feel like to an extent we're seeing all of Jen, you know? We're seeing as much as Jen is capable of showing us whatever she's capable of acknowledging to be true, like with everything that's going on with Ryan, like that's on her to figure out. But I feel like we're seeing her. I'm sorry. I'm meandering right now. I'm not being,
No, you're
but
making sense.
I just, it's like, don't talk about making, you don't know who your friends are when you're not showing up to be a friend in
Well,
a
and
way
again,
that,
she's
or in
not
a way
in
that I find acceptable, I guess, you know?
she's not in a scene with her friends. Like at the fashion show, this didn't come up.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden she's like, I just think she's full of shit.
She
And
is.
they're not having this conversation alone. The lady doing blood work is in the room. And that also really bothered me because when they had their little tiff, I was like, oh God, there's someone else in the space.
Oh my God.
But I will say this episode was weird. Like, I feel like the editors were really trying to put a lot of pressure on things that in real life, I was like, is that this big of a deal? Like, I don't like Heather at all. But this little exchange with Terry, it didn't bother me that much. Like, you know, he was like, I'm done. I don't want to have this conversation anymore. And she's like, I'm done. And then they storm into that bathroom and she's like, don't admonish me on camera. But he didn't really. And he was like, well, don't overtalk me. And then she said, well, that obviously wasn't on purpose, which is as close as the, like, I'm sorry as you'll ever get from one Heather Dubrow. So to me, it just felt like a couple who's been married for like 20 plus years, like having a
Right.
moment.
I agree. I totally agree. But I think what happened is that, like, when he's like, listen, you have a process you need to go through. You need to
Yes.
talk about things over and over. She got defensive.
Always.
And then that triggered her to, like, have her mini don't admonish me freak out. It's like, dude, who gives a shit? Like,
Well, that's where Heather's doing something different and why she needs to be on the Housewives with Housewives, because what she did is produce a scene and admonishing her was not in the script. And
right.
so she couldn't say that if she was at a dinner table with everyone. So, but she thought she had Terry to, organize her, propaganda for herself in this scene. And he went slightly left. And what's so stupid on her end is like, he didn't say anything bad. Like the editors did show, like Gina did apologize 3 times with varying degrees of losing her patience. And that's fine. Most people, it takes a minute to actually accept an apology and move on. But Heather can't be most people. So she has to, she needed Terry to make Gina the bad guy here. And it was just the only thing good about this was I really enjoyed Heather's confessional look. If she was a normal person, I would have really liked, she had like a nice, just like a soft bend in her hair and like that navy blue slip dress with a crocheted overlay. Like it was
Mesh,
yeah, it looked great. So maybe that softened me. I don't know. But I was just like, this isn't the big deal that, yeah, it just sounded like a married couple fighting at a doctor's office.
The curatedness, though, like the fact that it veered off of the curation that she was going for is just everything we need to know about Heather. And she's just admonish.
I know.
Like she can't even say like, oh my God, can you just not like talk down to me or can you not be condescending? But can you not admonish me on camera? Admonish. She's so annoying.
Yeah, that is who Terry
I don't think they
married,
like each other in real life.
It's interesting. I couldn't like in these scenes, I was like, it just all read as bullshit to me. And I was just like, because immediately we go from the don't admonish me in the bathroom to Heather's next scene where Terry has been scripted to say, help me with my robe, honey. And she says, no, the doctor's going to put I have a heart on. Okay. So all of that stuff read like bullshit. But when he was going into surgery, I did feel like, that thing that you feel when anyone goes under general anesthesia of like, and Terry made jokes and they hugged in a way that like seemed legit. So for a minute, I was like, maybe these two people love each other, as my mom would say, in their own peculiar way.
Oh, peculiar as hell.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we ping to another part of Orange County and we see Jen and Ryan strolling down a street where someone hasn't picked up their dog poop and they're on their way to a place called The Vault. The Vault Men. And Margie, is this store not like fully like Dan Flashes from I Think You Should Leave?
Yes. Oh my God. I'm so glad you said that because that every shirt in there was just like, oh my God.
Every shirt in there was full Dan
that
Flashes.
Whole sketch.
Yes.
The whole scene was that sketch it was Dan Flashes starring Magda from There's Something About Mary as the shopkeeper.
God, as Tanya?
Yes, that was
hilarious.
insane. This scene was just like surreal. All I really took from it was that Ryan tailors all of his clothing, including his underwear and board shorts. And that man has a lot of time and stolen money.
He does have a lot of time on his hands. Matt, this is what what else he does is he gets his stuff tailored. He gets his stuff tailored, Matt. That's what he neglected to tell you on your patio. At the end, when they all go, and Matt's like, "So what do you do?"
Oh, right. Yeah.
And he tells Katie's husband, "Oh, I do all this stuff with mortgage and real estate development." No, you get your underwear tailored.
Yeah, that's how you spend your days, is getting every piece of clothing fit to your body. Then we go to Tamra and Eddie, who are making tea, and Eddie is the most humorless man. I don't know. He thought he was being hilarious because there's dog bones all over the floor, and Eddie goes, "It's called having a dog." And then Tamara's like, "Oh, there's grease all over the stove." And he's like, "It's called cooking." And I was like, Eddie, oh my God.
Oh my God.
Living with you would be like the most boring, like library detention experience I could ever imagine. But it did make me think, because Tamara said that like Eddie doesn't clean the house, but he spends a lot of time cleaning his trucks and you could eat off his motorcycle. So later when Ryan says he's not a dude, I was like, in my experience, someone who leaves grease on the stovetop and tends to their cars is a dude.
Oh yeah, that was weird. Ryan is gross. Yeah. Yeah, I wrote, gross. What the fuck does that even mean?
I don't
Yeah.
know. And then we bounce back
Eddie's
and
not a
forth
dude.
between Jen and Ryan at the Vault Men and Eddie and Tamra kind of hashing out. I don't understand what Ryan meant by that he's seen by Jen's friends as a blinking red light. Did he mean a red flag, a walking red
Probably.
flag? Okay,
Yeah.
great. So
Yeah.
that's an idiot. And Jen is saying that she and Tamra have made major progress since last year and they're in a better place. And we cut to Eddie and Tamra, where Eddie says he likes Jen. He thinks she's a kind, loving woman, but clearly the subtext is, but I hate Ryan. So that's a dead end for me.
Also same, Eddie. Also same.
Yeah.
We also hate Ryan. I don't think anyone likes Ryan. But
No,
yeah.
it's very hard to like Ryan. I had a second where I almost did, and then immediately he like bought it all back. But
Yeah.
Jen says, and this sort of broke my heart, she said to Ryan, Eddie matters to me, and she wants Ryan to try to move forward with him. And Ryan was like, with his big coked out eyes. Ryan reminds me so much of Jax Taylor, just like mannerism wise. His
Yeah.
eyes are all big, and he's like, yeah, that'd be great. That's great. I'm into that. And it's like, oh my God. So weird. Then we get this information that Tamra is pissed about Ryan having gone on a podcast, and Tamra claims that she shit talked her and Eddie. And this is where for 1 second I'm on Ryan's side. He absolutely did not. The host led him into a comment and he said no comment. So he only vaguely said that he'd heard not positive things about Tamra and Eddie. But when she said like, they're jealous of what you have and that's why they're mean to you. And he's like, it's not my place to comment on that. I don't know what goes on under that. Like he really didn't do anything egregious. You know, I mean, he's an egregious human being, but like that podcast appearance does not merit whatever Tamra seems to be freaking out about.
Oh, Shannon FaceTimes Adeline, and Adeline says men who live in New York are disgusting and that she'll only accept a date to Carbone. And Margie, I want to know, what were your requirements to be asked out on a date and say yes at the age of 19?
To be asked out on a date. That was the requirement. I don't care. Going out was fun. I don't understand. But it is a different generation.
Yeah.
Like they do. Yeah, I don't know. This scene did make me really sad though. Like Shannon is making me sad right now. I've talked about it before on this podcast, but when people are like, why do you stay with a terrible guy? It's like, look at this episode. That's why. Because you're alone. The only person you're talking to is your daughter, which is like inappropriate. You shouldn't be talking to her about your lawsuit with your ex-boyfriend. That's weird.
Right.
You don't get invited to a party because like, oh, you'd be a weird eighth wheel. So you're at home with your dog and a carrot.
A carrot.
Like, it's just fucking sad. And you know, Shannon says, I feel as though I've hit rock bottom, but it seems as though John wants to get me down even further. I don't think I can go any lower. And then we cut to, this is again where I feel like the editors were trying to give us something that's not there. We cut to Tamra seeing the People article about John suing Shannon for $75,000. She calls Shannon, who doesn't answer, but butt dials back. Tamra, as a horrible in a demonstration of her devil nature, lets the butt dial go for the rolling cameras. But in my opinion, Shannon didn't say anything. If that news had just broken, I too would be in tears. All she said was, we need to strategize and figure this out. My emotional level is fucking panicking. I'm just so overwhelmed and so fucking tired. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Would anyone not say the exact same thing? Like, what is so scandalous, you know? The only thing scandalous is that her friend, Tamra, is willing to let this like raw moment be, you know, produced. It was just fucking dark.
It was
and then Shannon
so dark.
sees that it's the butt dial has happened and she goes, hello, and Tamra hangs up.
Yeah.
She doesn't even comfort her friend who's clearly like, she doesn't do anything human. She's so awful.
I mean, she's scrolling through the People magazine article and like her face had an expression of positive like glee.
Yes, you're right. Like excited.
And Schadenfreude. Like she
Yeah.
was so excited to
You're
read
right.
all of this stuff. And that is disgusting. That's disgusting because we all know Tamra. We all know her dynamic with both Vicky and Shannon. At one reunion or another, there will be like I love you guys more than anything. I love these women. And she'll cry and give her little spiel about how she loves them so much, but she's so awful. She's so awful.
She just changes with the wind, man. Like, because she does it in this episode with Emily. When Emily at the dinner party talks about how, like, can you just understand how a 10 size gap between me and Alexis wearing the same outfit was hard on my psyche. And Tamra suddenly out of nowhere is like, yeah, I totally understood that. I thought it was about something else. I'm like, no, you didn't. You just don't want to be the villain of this dinner party. So you're taking that angle. And she immediately, instead of when Shannon says hello into the phone, realizing that someone's on the other end, Tamara hangs up on her and immediately calls Heather and said, did you see? Like you said, it's just this like devilish joy she's getting.
Gross. It's so gross. Oh, she's so gross. And Heather in her confessional to her credit, she broken clocks and she says, John has historically said that he doesn't like being in the spotlight. And this is antithetical to that. Like,
yeah. And she said what we're all thinking. She goes, I don't understand what John is doing. Was there no way to settle this? Like,
right.
And Emily says it later, settle it. Take the full payment of what you're owed and signed a non-disparagement agreement and don't talk about your ex-girlfriend. Like, if you don't care about her, why do you need to fucking talk about her? And everyone
agreed.
Alexis keeps saying he lost everything. Did he? We just saw him on Watch What Happens Live in like an ascot and he's still riding around on his dumb boat. He just bought her like a $750,000 wedding ring or engagement ring. Like, what did he lose? I'm confused.
I'm confused too. He lost my respect a long time ago.
Long time ago.
I mean, we don't, yeah. So, we go to Katie and Matt's for a hot minute. They're deciding what alcohol to serve their friends. And P.S., no one cares. They just want it to be alcohol. Shannon's not coming, so she won't be a ninth wheel. And then
Gina has kid stuff, so she can't come.
And she has kid stuff, yeah. And so then, speaking of Gina, we go back to her house where she's making meatballs. And
Did she get paid by the fucking meatball? Like, this opening was like it was like a joke, the number of times she said, I'm making meatballs. You can have meatballs. We'll bring the meatballs to Travis. Meatball gets upset when I say meatballs because I was just like, stop it.
Yeah.
It's not endearing. I don't know why I hate it. It makes me hate her and I'm already in a bad mood about her. Stop saying meatball.
I didn't really notice that she wasn't. I know she was in the episode for like a hot minute in the very, very beginning when they were at that cafe. But again, upon my third viewing of the episode, I was like, oh shit, she wasn't. I didn't miss her. I don't miss her. I don't like Gina this season. I don't care. Bye.
Yeah,
Bye, season 19. We'll see, but my fingers are crossed. She explains to us and Matt and Britt what's going on with Travis, and okay, it's the ex's fault. Okay.
No, again, it's like I almost was with her for a second. But again, she's playing the victim. She's like, I'm just frustrated because Matt's relationship is moving forward and I just want that for me too. And it's like, you can have that. Moving forward isn't always a path of ease and comfort and stability. Like, remember, again, when Travis was with you through a DUI, a child custody issue, because one of you was a wife beater and the other one is a drunk. So we had some shit to work out in the court with that. And he stayed right next to you. And like your victim impact statement, which was not easy for Gina and so admirable, but like, I don't think she just rolled into court and breezily shot that. Like, what do you think he was doing? Like, she's such a monster. And then we get this new news that just absolutely destroyed me. A year ago, the blended kids staged a wedding for Travis and Gina in the backyard. And a year later, she kicked him and his kids out. We have a new bunk bed or a new desk or something arriving at the door today. There's construction going on. This is just, I don't believe her. I'm with Travis. Like, I don't care. Have you ever heard? I've never heard of a divorce that's easy and effortless. I just saw the headline that Channing and Jenna Dewan Tatum just finalized their divorce after 7 years. That's what it takes. That's what it takes. So if you want it to be easy, that's not what this is. It's not about the ex-wife. It's about she wants her space. She's making money now. She wants stuff for her and her kids, and she doesn't want Eeyore Travis annoying her, even though, you know,
You're Travis.
yeah,
Oh, God.
she
Oh.
really, I don't even know what to hope for with them anymore. I guess for the kids' sake, I hope they make it, but I don't know. I just think
Yeah.
what she's doing is so dishonest. That's the part that bothers me. If she could just say, like, I've never had money and independence at the same time, and I need to try this. And I know I'm hurting people, but I don't see another way forward for me. But instead, she's like, it's this time it's the ex-wife's fault. Before it was space. Now it's ex. It's just like, what's the truth? All
That's
I
a
know,
very good point.
the truth is that your kids threw you a wedding and you participated in it and gave them a false sense of hope and stability, and then you blew it up. Gina, blew it up, not the ex-wife. You did that.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point.
Her.
We go back to Katie and Matt's. Katie fills Matt in on the Eddie and Ryan beef. Everyone shows up. Ryan and Jen show up last. Ryan goes to hug Eddie, and Eddie says, no. Eddie walks away, and Ryan says, are you going to hide? And he says, no, I just have nothing to say to you. Woof. That was
I thought it was fine, though. Like,
awkward, but yes.
yes, awkward, but like, I thought Eddie handled himself like really well.
Yeah, I mean, it was not going to go, that situation was not going to be anything but awkward. And yeah, Eddie's
It was
like,
my favorite Paige DeSorbo quote. Like, I don't hate you, but I see you.
yeah.
So it's like, I'm not going to fucking hug you. I'm not going to be a dick to you, but I'm not going to hug you.
Yep.
Come on. Like,
Yep,
Ryan's
yep,
crazy.
Yep.
And
That is a great Paige Sorbo quote.
I
You're
quote it
absolutely right.
all the time, and I often will leave out who said it because it undermines its powerfulness. But people will go like, oh, yeah, cool. And then I'll be like, that is from Summer House's Paige DeSorbo as it relates to West, whatever.
Yes.
But
yes.
I did note at the beginning again, like on Adult Child Alcoholic High Alert, Matt offers drinks to everyone. Tamra has a martini, and Eddie immediately orders sparkling water. And I was like, uh-oh, I feel like he knows he'll be babysitting. This is sad.
Gross.
Um,
Oy, oy, oy.
and I wonder, part of me was like, I wonder if Tamra had pre-partied because Eddie was so defeated already. That was only her second martini that she was sloshing all over the damn floor. Like, and they'd been there for 10 minutes. They were still standing up inside. Like, it was crazy to me.
Yeah,
how wasted
you know
she
what?
was.
I bet you anything you're right. I bet you anything.
She had one for the
That
road.
she had
Eddie knew it
pre-gamed.
was
You're
going to
right.
be a nightmare. And so
Yep.
he's like, I'll have sparkling water, no lemon.
No mint.
He's going to leave her, no mint.
I
And
mean,
Shane and Eddie have a brief moment where they like bond over not drinking.
yeah.
And both of their wives are then, we cut to them in a corner just off the rails gossiping about Ryan, calling him a little bitch, and flashing back to Kelly Dodd calling Shane a little bitch.
Oh my God.
You're a little bitch.
Oh my God. Ryan and Matt go outside. Matt makes the fatal mistake of asking Ryan what he does. And then Ryan launches into, which obviously with the editor's help, we understand that they pieced together it to fulfill their narrative, but it didn't seem like it needed, that much more fulfilling. It's like he was just vamping for his life.
I just wrote, Ryan talks in buzzwords for an eternity. Development, mortgage, work from home, COVID, flip, 7 projects. Like, there's just no content. And Matt
Yeah.
looked glazed over.
He
and it
did.
was just like, okay.
He looked like he was in hell. And yeah.
If you can't answer what do you do with like a pretty concise statement, then
You're a bullshitter.
something's wrong. Yeah.
Exactly. Eddie tells Tamra to pace herself with the drinks, and I don't think I've ever been told to pace myself with my drinks by
Did
a
he
partner.
tell her that?
Yeah, he
Oh,
did.
I missed that.
Yeah, he's like, pace yourself.
I
Pace
just saw him
yourself.
tell, which was even sadder to me, is when he approached Matt.
Oh, yeah. No,
to
this
say,
is before anyone ever actually sits down. Yeah, he says, pace yourself with the drinks.
yeah, he
And,
looked sick.
I don't think I've ever had to tell anybody, romantic partner, to pace yourself.
But you're in you've been in Al-Anon.
Yes, I have been.
You don't do that.
Yeah, I don't do that. I'd be like, wow, you're acting like an asshole, but I wouldn't. Yeah.
And part of the program there is like you don't count other people's drinks. And Eddie later was in that spirit when Jen was like, why are you letting her do this? And he was like, I'm not her keeper. And he said it in this very sad, resigned way of like,
yeah, he's like, not that I wouldn't try, not that I haven't tried, not that
I've
I
been
wouldn't
trying
like to
all
be.
night, but now I'm cold and
However,
tired.
right, exactly.
Sad.
Yeah. So like we said earlier, Tamra spills half a martini and blames it on Emily because she's also holding Emily's glass of wine. And I was like, that couldn't be me. I'd be shitting myself and like spouting out multiple adult child of an alcoholic apologies, lest Matt talk shit about me to Katie for the rest of my natural born life. Like, oh my God, remember when Ramona was here and she spilled that fucking martini? I
And
would
there
do
was
anything
the
to like,
saddest shot of so Tamra spilling it, then shrieking about blaming it on Emily, and then does like a kind of, you can tell she knows that she fucked up as she does like a walk toward Eddie. And Eddie's just like leaning against a wall, and the camera just catches a look at him looking at her that was just like, that's why I wrote Eddie's going to leave her and move to Big Bear. And I kind of hope he does.
it was full like match cut. It was like if whoever did like The Office and a Scorsese movie, like that was like the pan to Eddie's face.
So it was so much history in that look he was giving her of like this.
I mean,
again, I feel like they talked about it on the drive over. I feel like
100%.
he tried to put every protection in place, and before they've even sat down to dinner, she's sloshing and sloshed.
I think you have a really good point. I think she probably was on her way. When she was getting ready, she probably had some drinks or a drink, and then they probably did a roadie in the car on the way. And she knows, like, she's getting wasted because she knows that she's going to be confronting Ryan. And she does need liquid courage. Like Jen says in this scene, oh, I know this, Tamra. This is the one that needs liquid courage, you know? And Jen says, oh, shit, this is how wasted she was when she threw a napkin in my face. So Tamra didn't drive into a house like Shannon did.
Yet.
But exactly. But she's not like super far on that spectrum that Shannon's on of problem drinking, you know? So Eddie tells Matt, don't give my wife any more. Probably shouldn't serve her any more alcohol, please. Oh my fucking God. I would be
sad.
mortified. And then Matt's like, okay. Like they have a little agreement about it.
It's such a shitty thing to put on a host.
Exactly.
It's like, that's not my responsibility. I invited you here. You manage yourself.
But without Al-Anon, this is what people think is normal behavior.
It's so sad.
And everyone's on board with it. Everyone has their thing. Like Matt, like, oh, because we don't live in a society where we are automatically going to be like, you know what, that's not really my role, because again, we're also conditioned to be kind of like polite and accommodating to people. And
I would just say I'll do my best.
Yeah.
And
like,
then not do anything, because it's just not, if an alcoholic's going to drink, or they'll do what Tamra eventually does, which is storm out, wobble on a step and drop her purse.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That was sad. Then we're at the dinner table. Go ahead.
No, you.
We're at the dinner table, and of course, this, I hate the word triggered, but it is what it is. Everyone applauds Matt for being a unicorn. Everyone's like, you were never married. You have no kids. You were single till you were 44. As a woman in this position, you are damaged. You are shamed. There's something wrong with you. You've been rejected. And meanwhile, everyone's like, oh, Matt. Oh, wow, Matt. He waited. Like, it just bummed me out. And I love Matt. He's lovely, but like, you know, he's humorless. He looks like Dilbert to me.
Oh,
you know?
Oh no, that guy that made Dilbert is such a piece of shit.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Dilbert is like the worst thing you could call someone, unless they're also.
Oh, I didn't mean it like that.
A
I just meant
piece of shit. No, I know you
he
didn't.
It looks like that, and he has like office man energy, even though I know he's a golfer. But like,
yeah.
I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that was like a huge. They're like, he's a treasure. He's a unicorn.
Yeah,
and
it was a little.
Meanwhile, we have JD Vance, you know, saying childless cat ladies are going to kill the nation.
Oh my God.
Anyways.
Oh my God. Tamra, ever the quality friend, says, you know, the one you want in your corner, the friend you want going to the mats for you, says to the table, can we talk about Alexis last night? Okay.
I mean, in fairness, Tamra did drive this whole scene. She's like, can we talk about Alexis? Can I tell you about the Shannon butt dial? Can we talk about the elephant in the room? Like, she literally, this scene could not have happened with Dilbert and, you know, like poor Eddie. But yeah, then we sort of rehashed the Susan B. Anthony dress sizes again. And I did I really feel for Emily. Tamra does not. In her confessional, she's like, Tamra, must be really hard to be bigger girl here. I feel bad for her. I feel for her. I was like, you're the worst kind of person for
Yeah.
someone who struggles with weight and body image. You're the
Yeah.
worst because you're just like, oh, thank God it's not me. I pity you.
Tamra's the kind of person that if you were like, oh my God, I'm just like not feeling super cute today. I just have one of those days where I'm feeling fat. Well, are you working out?
Right.
Well, I just, like sometimes I just feel better if I work out. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no shit, Sherlock. But
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, yes.
And Emily broke my heart because she did say that she wanted to speak with Heather because she just wanted Heather to see me, And I was like, oh, that's just never going to happen.
Mm-mm.
Heather's the wrong audience for that.
She doesn't see herself. She can't
Mm-mm.
see you. She can't see herself.
No. And
Nope.
Emily had it right in that flashback they showed at the beginning of the episode where she was saying to Heather, when Heather was like, everyone holds me to a different standard. And Emily was like, you separate yourself because you get to be pretentious. You get to be all these things that make it impossible to get close to you or relate to you, And then, but this is just like, you can see like the mental illness, I only say that because I recognize it in my own brain when I can so clearly pin who someone is and then be like, but I want them to see me just
Right.
this one time. They could see me this one time, right? It's like,
Right.
no, you have her pegged. She's not open to that. She's a
Yeah.
pretentious, classist
Oh, God.
monster.
Emily says that Alexis ruined the potential for the conversation with Heather. And like you said, I don't think I think that it was just not going to happen, period.
No, Alexis was just like, she's just like a yapping dog in the mix. It's like she created a little more chaos, but that's not what's at issue. Tamara has a real thing this whole episode of like trying to make it seem like everyone's blaming Alexis. And it's like Alexis isn't that relevant. She's not that important. Shannon isn't blaming Alexis for John suing her. I'm sure Alexis is supportive of that decision because she's a bitch, but Tamra now moves on to report the details of her butt dial call from Shannon and reports all that she reports is that she was hysterically crying and blamed it all on Alexis. And I was like, that's not what happened. She was first very sane, saying we need to strategize and figure out how to deal with this. Then she went off the rails and cried hysterically, as anyone would when their ex-boyfriend is suing them in such a public way. But I never heard her blame it on Alexis. She said Alexis' PR person probably put the article in People. And it stands to reason because their engagement was in People. Like that's Alexis's, it's like, when Lisa Vanderpump claims she didn't release the Lucy Goosey Apple Juicy stuff to Radar Online or it's like, yes, you did. That's what you do.
Right.
That's fine. But it's
Right.
Shannon's not like blaming everything on Alexis. It's crazy.
God. Oh, my God. Tamra fills the group in on the butt dial. And, again, just if this is what having a friend is, I'm not interested. I don't know what people, like, how do these women even want to be around her for a dinner? I don't know how they want to be around her as a castmate.
And she can't hear
be me.
anything because Katie rightly understood Shannon's point of view, saying like, if I was in that position, having just been sued by this woman's husband and now being sued by her boyfriend, like it's hard to ignore that common denominator notion, even if there's no truth to it. And Tamara's like, no, that's not what happens. She's just blaming her. And I was like, geez, you like won't even just like live in the reality where like that could be true. Anyways. Speaking of Shannon, then we cut to Shannon at home doing a neti pot, giving an Archie a carrot in bed. And then she says, I'm alone. And that's by choice, but I'm alone. And that is heartbreaking. And I wrote, for everyone who romanticizes being single, pay attention. Everyone who's like, I just want my space. I'm like, that's what it's actually like. A couple days, great. But then it's neti pot, dog and a carrot, and like a profound ringing of loneliness.
Oh, God.
So, but she needs to be alone right now. And,
Yeah.
I do feel like she's getting better. I see, even when she said, like, in her confessional that, like, it's overwhelming, there's so much going on, very quickly she was like, but I'll handle it. I'll figure it out. And we've never heard that from her before.
That's true.
Like, that's new.
True.
I was like, oh my God. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens with Shannon in the next, like, 5 years. I feel like Shannon and Tamra are going on these trajectories where, wait, they were both going up. Tamra's going down. Tamra's going somewhere dark. And Shannon appears like she could be climbing somewhere.
Yeah. It's just, oh, God. I mean, there was all of that stuff in the blogs, just like within the last 40, since the episode aired, you know, where Tamra had to issue well, first of all, they took down the episode of Watch What Happens Live, where Tamra goes on and was talking more shit about Ryan. So they took that episode, they took that down, probably for legal reasons, because when they came back from break, when Tamra was on Watch What Happens Live, and they came back from break, and Andy says, just so we know, nothing's been confirmed that Ryan has been talked to by the FBI or whatever.
Yeah, he said nothing's been proven in a court of law that Ryan has had any affiliation with this.
So, and then the episode, I believe, was taken down. It might have been put back up, but yeah, I believe the episode was taken down. And Tamra then came out with a statement. She issued a statement on social media that said, like, you know, it was some sort of cleanup. I'm sorry, I'm too groggy to like remember what it was. But my point is that she's always having to come out and like CYA. She hasn't learned. She did not learn.
I'm so sorry.
Cover your ass.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
She hasn't learned. And so she spouts her mouth, and then she has to pay a lot of money. And if I were Eddie, I'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? So first we had to give $500,000 to Jim Bellino, and now we're going to have to give $500,000 to Ryan Bajoyan. Like, is this what you're doing to us?
He is going to leave her and moving to Big Bear.
He's going to Big Bear.
As we speak. I hope
you're
he does.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. He's going to pull that. He's going to fucking hitch a trailer to that truck, and he's going to haul his Harley.
Yeah.
And that's it. You can find him at the Big Bear Cafe.
Yeah.
Wearing some Ugg boots for men.
Selling CBD. Right. He's fine.
You're right.
He's done.
That's exactly what he's doing. Oh, shit.
He doesn't need this shit.
Oh, shit.
That's really interesting. But it's like you're saying, until Tamra experiences any consequences that matter to her from this, it appears financial consequences don't faze her. It's shocking. Oh, but I guess
ego.
And she is bringing in a ton of money. That podcast is like a gold mine. It's insane.
2 T's in a pod?
Yes.
Interesting.
It's shocking because they're both morons, but I've listened, and they're doing all these crossover episodes. I'm sure you saw the one with Ronnie and Ben and Watch What Crappens.
Sure did.
And they're not good. And yet they will gain more audience from that. Like, I don't know what's happening. Anyways, I don't know what her comeuppance will be, but I don't want to be anywhere near her when it happens because I feel like it's going to be violent and terrible and heartbreaking. And
oh my God.
I don't know who will be left to rally around her. She's
I don't
pushing
either.
Eddie away. She's pushed Shannon and Vicky away.
Her own daughter on camera has said, go to therapy.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So Tamra says, can we talk about the elephant in the room, which is Ryan and Eddie? And she says that Ryan talked shit about her as a mom. And I think that that's probably why she's so bummed. I don't know. Listen, I didn't listen to either one of these fucking podcasts. I'm not listening to Ryan on the podcast.
But we heard the segments. He was on one podcast and he said nothing specific. So for Tamra to say you talked mad shit about me as a mom and Eddie as a businessman, I'm like, what? No, he didn't. And I was only briefly on Ryan's side for this because it quickly gets to the point. Anyway, so I don't mean to jump ahead. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Ryan said that he felt validated going on the podcast because of how he had been treated by Tamra and Eddie, and that he felt wronged by Eddie reporting that someone had approached him at a party to say, watch out for Ryan. He fucks married women and he's got eyes on your wife. And Ryan says he doesn't respect Eddie for not talking to him about that. And I do love Eddie here, just like completely still going, "You're not a threat to me. And I guarantee you would never have my wife." And I was like, ooh.
When he said, "You will never have my wife," I wanted to vomit.
It was a little possessive,
It was
controlling,
so
whatever.
disgusting to me. It creeped me out.
But I only respected it in that is the language that will destroy Ryan. Because he thinks he's so hot that anyone would just beg to look at him naked for a second. And hearing you would never have this person, to him, to Ryan, I could understand why Eddie would choose that language to destroy Ryan, but it is pretty objectifying of his wife. Not great.
So Matt and Katie look mortified throughout the entire conversation. Emily and Shane, yeah, they're like, yeah, okay, yeah. And Jen is obviously used to Tamra acting like this because she's been in the crosshairs many times before.
She asked Tamra, she goes, "Why are you doing this?"
Yeah.
After all the work we've done to rebuild our friendship. And this is where Ryan loses me, because Ryan, I think, was in the right about the podcast stuff. He didn't rip apart Eddie and Tamra. He didn't say anything. He said, the last thing I'd want to do is speculate. So on that front, I was like, great. But then he tried to pretend that he didn't make this dick pic reference. Last year, I guess he made a post saying, "Worry about your own Ryan," in reference to Tamra's son, Ryan, who had sent a dick pic out 20 years ago. And which means that Ryan is currently 38 years old. So Tamra going, "Don't come after my kid." It's like, your kid is a middle-aged man.
Gross.
And what Ryan did was like completely unsavory, ill-advised, disgusting, awful. I hate Ryan. But as it relates to landing on a 38-year-old, like a 20-year-old picture coming back to haunt a 38-year-old man, I just don't see why Tamra has turned this into a "don't come for my children" thing.
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong?
Mm-mm. No.
It just seems like he's middle-aged. If I'm Tamra's son, Ryan, and Ryan sends this post about me, I let it roll off my back. It's like, yeah, I sent a dick pic when I was 18. You sent a dick pic recently, sir. I don't care about you. I don't know you. Onward. Who cares?
She's gross. He's gross.
Yes.
And Tamra's son is gross. I don't give a shit about any of these three people in real life. But just more pans to Matt looking mortified. Jen is upset at Eddie for letting Tamra go after them. Tamra drops the FBI bomb. Matt wraps Eddie in a blankie. Eddie begs Tamra to stop talking. Jen pleads with Eddie to stop.
I mean, this was sad. Ryan did goad Tamra, and he's an asshole. He's like, "Are you really speaking like this at your age?"
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
That was really disgusting. And it did freak me out, though. The one thing that freaked me out, I understand what Eddie was doing when you're dealing with someone who's like that drunk and that operating at such a high emotional frequency. He put his hand on her face, and grabbed it and turned it toward him and said, "Stop talking."
Yeah.
And he's like, "It's not worth it." And then he said, "Please stop talking, please," with his hand on her face. And it just felt a little like,
it was ice. It made my blood run a little bit cold.
It made me feel like they should definitely not be together much longer. And Tamra got up and left. And I was like, I would have too, I think, if I was drunk. It's just embarrassing all around. And Eddie said, he's like, "It shouldn't be like this." And I'm like, it shouldn't. And I think the only way that changes is if you
go to Big Bear,
hitch a trailer and pack
your Harley.
Pack
your Harley, pack the dog bones.
Yeah.
And
have a life of kitchen grease and clean cars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Tamra leaves. Ryan projects. She jump trips on her way out.
Yeah, but Ryan, he didn't even project. This bummed me out even more. The thing that he handled so well on the podcast when the woman was like, when the woman on the podcast said something to the effect of, "Tamra's jealous of you because you have real love and money and all that stuff." And then he, at that time, was like, "I can't comment on that. I don't know what goes on that roof." And then here in his confessional, he basically quotes the host and is like, "When people have real love, she needs to destroy it because she's so envious because she doesn't have it." And I was like, oh, so you're you're wrong across the board. For a second, I thought there was like a glimmer of you being a decent human being, and you just erased it, and you've lost me forever, you asshole.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then,
Oh,
oh
so
man,
it was a mess. It was
it
a
was
mess.
a mess.
It was a mess. I feel bad for Jen, but she's also not my problem. And I feel for Tamra's children.
Yeah.
There we go.
I feel for everyone's children, Jen's children too, because Ryan
Big
is
time.
ugh.
Ryan is, I mean,
Her
I
children
get,
are just came out of an eviction to head into an FBI investigation. It's
honestly,
like, oh my
with
God.
like the most, like attached to the most beloved
No.
athlete
Mm-hmm.
in like Southern California, the state of California, possibly the country, possibly the world. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's on the wrong side.
Oh.
And that is, I just can't.
I don't
imagine.
understand all the ins and outs of it, but it can't be good what Ryan's involvement. It can't be good.
The
It
FBI
sounds like
doesn't
the
come
money,
for you.
No, and it sounds like
If-
the money stolen from the baseball player went to Ryan.
Yeah,
Like, that's bad. That seems real bad.
it did. It did.
But maybe it's an Erica Jane situation where she's like, well, I didn't know. It's not my fault. Maybe that's Ryan's defense. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what this whole mess is. And like you said, clearly the feds are watching. If Watch What Happens Live had to take down an episode or edit out the parts that were controversial. Yeah, Tamra's an idiot.
She doesn't learn. She is just a
And she's
masterclass.
unaffected by consequences. She talked shit and got fined $500,000, and now she talks some more shit about like a case that involves the FBI. Like, you're insane.
She is.
You're literally insane.
She's a child.
Yeah.
She is a child. She reminds me of the narcissist I know.
I mean, yeah, she is a child, but she can't be corrected. It's like, what would Super Nanny do with her? There is no timeout step.
I don't know.
Like,
She's taken that umbrella and she's Mary Poppins the shit out.
yeah,
She is out
this is
of
a
there.
case I cannot solve.
Exactly. What else did you watch this week, friend?
I didn't have time to watch a lot. I listened to a podcast about the Golden Bachelorette, and I realized why that show like kind of moves me. And I feel like it's because, and again, I'm projecting everything, but like in an age of technology, when you can connect in quotes online, it just sounds like the experience of all of the men being in a space together, connecting on a human level. It's so life affirming. It's so energizing. It's so like they're I don't know. It's like the loneliness epidemic is a real thing. And that show helps put some of it in check, especially right now. It's like so many widows, so people who've gone through these profound losses of their close partners are now in a community of people who like understand them, and they're all striving for the same goal, which is a woman. But what are you going to do? Like, it's imperfect, but I don't know. It just sounded like all of these men are so quick to share their stories with one another and quick to support each other. And I don't know, it just made me feel hopeful about humanity for a minute. And I know the franchise is a disaster and it has so many problems, but in terms of just connecting human beings off of internet, it eliminates internet comments and all the shit that people so readily display their worst selves when they don't have to face someone. And people, when they're face to face, they want to hear what connects them. They want to find, ways to be seen and heard and understood. And I don't know. Anyways, and then I watched the Monsters Menendez series and got a real amazing flashback to 1980s Los Angeles. And then just like a heartbreaking examination of the cycle of child sexual abuse.
Yep.
Whether or not it happened, it did happen or they read about it enough to, anyways, it's devastating. So, but so well acted. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Episode 5 is like one of the best half hours of TV I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
Yeah, truly.
I don't know if I can watch it.
That's fair. I understand why people
too
don't want
much.
to.
I just can't, like, I can't.
But just as like a piece of art, the writing is incredible. The casting is incredible. And that episode is like one of the most like shockingly riveting things I've ever seen in my life. It's one take. They did it all in one take. That actor talked for 35 minutes. And it's fucking, I've never not moved so much in my life.
Wow.
No, like it's just the craziest experience. Anyways, it's just a cool, like, whatever about the story, just in terms of like the creation of like art in a new way. That was an amazing episode. Anyways, how about you? What did you watch?
So I'm late to the game when it comes to Summer House, and like it's the fucking best. And then late to the game when it came to Below Deck. And you know, when you run out of Bravo content, and you're sick, you know, you're like, okay, well, what haven't I watched? And like Josh put on Below Deck when he was sick this week, and he got really into it. And so by proxy, I did. And so then we started watching Below Deck Sailing Yacht season 8, the one that came on a couple years ago, where I know the end, but I don't know anything about any of the characters. So, or the shipmates or the yacht mates, whatever they are. But I feel bad. I feel like I need to issue a formal apology. Like, I'm so sorry that I was completely just focusing on Housewives when Summer House and Below Deck are clearly the superior fucking shows to Housewives at this point in Bravo's like zeitgeist. These shows are so good.
They complete the meal. They complete the Bravo meal. Yeah.
Speaking of which, the meals, Marcos from Venezuela, when he's talking about how he's like, no, I can never go back. Like, we will never know problems like Marcos knows. We will never know being exiled out of our country and you can't go back, or you will die, or you will put your family in danger. So you don't get to see your mother anymore. We don't know those problems. And I don't know the end for Marcos, but right now I just like, every time he's on the screen, I'm just like, oh my God, I fucking love you. So, and it made me want to cry when I learned about his origin story, you know, like, I can't go back. And the young whippersnapper was like, oh, why? What? Mm-hmm. Like, what turmoil going in your country is making you not, like, holy shit. I remember listening to what was going on with Venezuela. You know, like, I would be driving Leo around while he was taking a nap, and I would be listening to NPR, and I'm like, oh my fucking God, this is awful. People are starving. And then Marcos is on freaking Below Deck, cooking delicious meals consisting of crostini and goat cheese and and flank steak and chimichurri. And I was like, oh, I want Marcos to be my chef. And I want to listen to him tell me lots of stories. Oh, he does?
Yeah, in LA.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I want to go. I want to go to it. Yeah. I don't know anything about him. Hopefully he won't disappoint me. But, you know.
I can't think of anything. He's a treasure.
He seems like a real treasure. I really love the Below Decks. I don't know why you would sail as opposed to going on a boat that won't tip over. To me, I'm like, no contest. And what else? Anything else, really? Not really.
Below Deck is fascinating because people who wind up, at least with like long-term careers in yachting and sailing, they generally come from trauma. That's been my experience watching that series. I only started watching it. I had to move to New York for a job in 2013. And I was subletting this like gross apartment in Tribeca. And the only thing that I could get on the TV was Below Deck. So I was like, fine. And then I was like, I love this because it's beautiful and the people are crazy and the food is gorgeous and like, it's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was delish. I mean, it looks, Marcus's food looks delish, but also like the locales, the locations they get to go to.
Gorgeous.
It just looks like, those people, they're so good. It's such a good premise. Like, of course. Mm-hmm. Anyway, and what was your antidepressant this week?
Oh boy. Huh. Let's see. I mean, I guess my antidepressant is, you know, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts this week, and I think my antidepressant is you. Because you edit our podcast. You do, just so everyone knows, Ramona does all of the technical work. I am so desperately inept that, I mean, it would be a learning curve the length of a lifetime for me to get to the place where I could do what you do. And I really appreciate listening to our podcast because the sound is great. This week is going to be weird with Evelyn squeaking and barking at the beginning, but
I should have for 5 minutes.
listen. But the sound is so good. The editing is so clean. Like it's really, it makes me really proud. And that's all you. So you're my
God.
antidepressant.
Thank you, friend.
And your skill set, like
Wow.
your professional technical skill set is like admirable and awesome.
Oh, thank
And
you.
yeah, thank you.
Oh my God. That means a lot. I appreciate that. Thank
Yeah.
you. It's my pleasure. I love it.
But it's a lot of work.
It is. It
It may
is.
be your pleasure, but I'm not unaware that it is time consuming as fuck. And you are a detail oriented person. So I know it's not just like, anyways, I appreciate you. And you're my
Oh.
antidepressant because I love listening to things that don't make me go like, what?
I
Why
know,
does
me
one person
too.
sound like they're, overseas and the other
Yeah.
person sound like they're in my head?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that because I'm always like, oh, I could have done. Oh, I could have done. Oh, that didn't. Oh, yeah. But you're right. Yes. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you.
And how about you? What was your antidepressant?
This week was, like Leo was sick and then he finally went back to school on Tuesday. And then Leo had a respiratory, he had like a cold, and then Josh and I got it. We rarely catch the stuff that he has that he brings home, but we did for some reason this week. So I wasn't feeling great, but my friend Lee and I, one of my best friends up here, we had plans to go into the city on Friday night to go to this party at a Claire V store. Claire V has a store here, and some of Lee's friends, or one of Lee's friends, works there. And so we were going in for this party, and usually going into the city is like a fucking slog. And it has to be like something real interesting to get Lee or I to make a plan to go, especially because we don't want to drive when we go to the city. So we take the ferry, but then you have to like not wear a super cute pair of shoes because you're not going to walk in your heels from the ferry building to Hayes Valley for a party. Anyway, my point is I woke up on Friday and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to feel up to going out to this party tonight, but I really want to go. So there's been like a massive heat wave up in Northern California this week. Like it was like in the high 90s in Oakland, and it was in the low 80s in San Francisco, of all places, right? So my antidepressant is I cobbled together an outfit that was totally fucking adorable, including Vans. So I got to like look cute for a Claire V party, but in comfortable fucking shoes. And we took the ferry over. It's a beautiful boat ride. We get off the ferry. The city is lively and warm. And like there's no precipitation. Neither of our hair is frizzing. We go to this party. There's delicious light bites. There's cute bags. We're having fun conversations. Then we go around the corner and we eat dinner. And it felt like I was plopped into like West Hollywood. Like rarely am I in the Bay Area and feel like I'm in Southern California or specifically Los Angeles. But it was like the people watching, the people we were watching. It was like I was in West Hollywood, but I was in the city, and it was warm. And then we walked back to the ferry at like 9:30 and we watched like the San Francisco skyline like fade into the night. It's like 75 degrees out, and it was like magic. And even though I woke up yesterday like fully relapsed, it was all worth it because it was just one of those perfect nights where I wouldn't have changed anything. And it just was so energizing and like out of an episode of a show. I don't know. It was
It
just
sounds like a movie scene,
perfect.
the way what you
Yeah.
just painted. It sounds so like
that's how it felt. That's how it
romantic.
felt. Yeah, it totally was. It was just, everything was just, I don't know. It was great. And it included 2 forms of public transportation and comfortable shoes. And it was just, I don't know. It was wild. I loved it.
And you had me at Claire V, but then you add like Lee and vans
I
and
know.
ferries and
Yeah.
warm nights. So, like, this sounds amazing.
It felt like I was in LA. It was just wild. It was great. I mean, without the public transportation part, but you know,
But a ferry's not bad.
a ferry. Oh no, the ferry was amazing.
A ferry beats a bus all day.
Oh no, I was just saying, like, as like in LA, I think
there
I
is
took
no
public
public
transportation
transportation.
like
Yeah.
one time. Yeah,
It's
From-
not reliable and it's not
right.
great. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, it was really lovely. It was lovely, and it was worth the respiratory relapse I took yesterday. Who cares? Anyway, everyone, thank you so much for listening. If you could be so kind as to rate, review, and subscribe. We are independent content creators, and it really means a lot. The reviews and the ratings mean a lot. And pass on the podcast if you know of anyone that would be interested. And if you'd like to reach us, you can do so at atherapeuticdose@gmail.com or find us on Instagram at A Therapeutic Dose. I have to just say, I wouldn't be me if I didn't say, like, I feel like the last 2 episodes, with the exception of the egregious Al-Anon stuff that came up in this episode, I feel like a lot hasn't been triggering my, like, stuff I've worked on in therapy. Or maybe it's just that I see it. So I don't know. I just that's what I'm on the lookout for still. I'm not just here to bash on Heather Dubrow every week all the live long day.
It's good. I'm glad you said that because
You know?
I think maybe sometimes I lose focus as well of the thesis of this podcast because sometimes it is just overwhelming how much Heather Dubrow and Gina like creep under my skin and give me emotional scabies.
Me too. But yeah, so like I think I just got a little insecure, like, oh, I don't want anyone to think that I'm not like focusing on therapy stuff. It's like these are the things that I do talk about people like Heather Dubrow that I encounter in my real life. I do say, you know, like, you don't have real friends because you don't show up as real. Like, that's something I've learned in therapy. It's not just, you know, a straight up hating on Heather Dubrow for sport kind of a thing.
And again, it's like if we're having any emotional reaction to these strangers, it's because something very personal is being activated. So I don't know Heather Dubrow. I wouldn't have a word to say to her. If I ran into her, I don't really care. But clearly something about her behavior, her elitist nature, the way she separates herself from fat people or poor people or less cute people or whatever, like that attitude is not unique to her. And I've encountered it in places in my life. And yeah, that's what it's about. So it's, you know, just holding up a goddamn mirror.
Yep. Holding up that mirror.
Yeah.
Holding up that mirror. However, ours, unlike Ryan's, maybe just from his looks, don't have cocaine on them.
My God, his eyes are either he has like a thyroid illness or there's a stimulant in his system of some sort.
That makes hella sense. All right, everyone. Have a really great week. I will be back next week without this cold, hopefully. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, take care of yourselves.
Take care of
We'll
yourselves.
talk next week.
Okay, everyone. Bye.
Ramona and Margie are obviously not doctors and do not provide medical advice. Their content is intended to be used for entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to be, should not be interpreted as, or used as a substitute for medical advice or a diagnosis of any health or fitness problem, condition, or disease, nor a recommendation for a specific test, doctor, care provider, procedure, treatment plan, product, or course of action.
My mom isn't a doctor.